We begin with team coverage answering questions about the Tennessee Department of Health and what it's telling families about vaccinations. Now, this comes as one of the state's top health officials is now out of a job. Tonight, we have responses from community leaders and doctors here in East Tennessee. Now, it all started with how the state promotes the COVID-19 vaccine and has now expanded to all other shots kids typically get. Tennessee's former top vaccine official claims she was fired after sharing information about the COVID-19 vaccine for teens. She says lawmakers didn't like it, and as a result, she claims the state is pausing some clinics and is no longer marketing vaccines to kids and teenagers.
What I'm concerned about is that people have the audacity to try to stop people from vaccinating their children.
Lord help us for well-intended people.
New at 6, community members are reacting to the Tennessee Department of Health's new plan to stop vaccine outreach for minors and halting vaccination drives at public schools. 10 News reporter Vinay Simlot spoke with community members and a school district and has their reactions.
We cannot go backwards.
Vivian Shipe says stopping vaccine education for kids and vaccine drives at schools for all vaccines is a bad move.
We can't afford to have smallpox again. We can't afford to have people with polio again.
Now, with the health department stopping specific vaccine messaging aimed at minors, this community leader says it's up to everyone else.
We got to educate, and I think that everyone who can, each one needs to teach one.
Anderson County Schools spokesperson Ryan Sutton says in past years, aside from telling parents what vaccinations are required by the state, the district hasn't been involved in vaccine education.
There is very little education as far as our role as a district in telling the parent to or not to do the vaccination.
But as a parent, he says it's his job to learn as much as he can.
There's a lot of great information out there from the CDC, from the manufacturers of the vaccinations that you can reference and look at.
For Vivian Shipe, it's about trusting the science.
Let's stand up and back our scientists.
And protecting her family.
When I go and stand over my grandson and I look at him, I know I've done everything I can to protect him.
In Knoxville, I'm Vinay Simlot.
Anderson County Schools tells 10 News they haven't decided yet on whether they will change their policy on vaccine outreach. Now, we reached out to the Tennessee Department of Health about this story, and they say they have not stopped vaccinating kids. They say they continue to support outreach efforts. They also say TDH wants to remain a trustworthy source of information to help individuals, including parents, make these decisions. We are mindful of hesitancy and the intense national conversation that is affecting how many families evaluate vaccinations in general. We are simply mindful of how certain tactics could hurt that progress. Well, the recent news about the halt in vaccination outreach to minors has some local doctors concerned. 10 News reporter Caitlin Keenahan talked with 2 physicians about the importance of vaccinating your child.
Chickenpox, mumps, hepatitis, and polio. These are just 4 vaccines that are highly recommended for children before heading into the classroom.
Vaccinations reduce harm. They prevent bad things from happening.
Doctors say the news came as a shock.
I was stunned and confused.
Not a very wise thing to do.
Hepatitis can lead to liver failure. Polio can lead to muscle paralysis, and mumps can lead to meningitis, a chronic swelling of the brain.
When you choose not to vaccinate your kids, then when they play with my kids at the playground, now they're affected. That's where we have to live as a community and think about how our decisions affect other people.
The fact that we're no longer actively encouraging students to get vaccinated before returning to school represents a real step backwards.
Right now on WBIR.com, you can read that entire story, why the former top vaccine official says she was fired, and her experience from inside the Department of Health. That's in the As Seen on TV section of the 10 News app.